Hey guys, welcome back to some more AFK Arena. Today we're back over on the YouTube account and we're going to be doing sort of a beast tier list. Now who to build, what to build, kind of how to build them out. Now when it comes to beast tier lists and when it comes to beast resonance in general, it is advisable to get it to 18 as soon as possible because once you do get beast resonance to level 18, you are done with building beasts. You will get all of the new beasts. You will get all of the beasts in their entirety all the way up to level 18. Now, most players have said, looking old school, it has taken about a year and a half to get this done through regular contributions, through regular gameplay. As a free-to-play player, about a year and a half, 2 years. Now, there are a lot of other game modes now that we see that have a lot more baits, so it does seem a little bit easier. Now, in my opinion, tier lists, super subjective to players, to what you have, but overall, I'm going to give you the general rule and the general breakdown when it comes to building out these cute little beasts. Now, number one, the Slumbering Seal. This is kind of the undisputed champion when it comes to beasts. The reason being, it is almost like having a 6 hero. There are a lot of formations that I am even using in my current level, and even within current formations, that the Slumbering Seal is very prevalent because it does an insane amount of damage. Ever since the release, this seems to be the number one beast to really rush all the way to 18. Once you get it to 18, the damage goes through the roof on this one. And even looking at chapter 71, where we are right now, still using this, still using it in a couple different formations. Again, the power this beast puts out is very, very high. Now, coming in second would really be the Panda Dumpty. Now, overall with this beast, he's got a really unique design. Big thing is the bamboo cover makes a big difference in hiding your high damage dealers, hiding and really briefly appearing after using ultimate. So there is a little bit of kind of longevity with the abilities that they have when allied deals critical strikes in here. And this is the amplification factor. So when you think of a beast at the start of battle, allied heroes get 30 crit damage amplification. That is going to be huge. Now, even when you think about this, the boost can go higher. But when you start thinking about stacking, even with the new thing collection on there, and stacking crit rating, stacking the crit damage amplification, on top of some of the collections that do that as well, really brings up the value of the Panda Dumpty. Reason he comes in second. And when the hero exceeds the target's crit block rating more than 100, it is going to give you more amplification. When you start looking at game modes that are super fast, like the Nightmare Corridor, this is going to make a big difference, not only in one side with the survivability aspect that he has, but the other side of being able to really boost up everything that we do have, which is the same with the Owl. This would probably be my number 3 coming in with the Owl. Again, the utility wise on this is kind of crazy. When you start looking at throwing up a buffing zone, increases some of the buffs, also reduces some of the damage. But also the big thing is here, when you start getting a haste boost. Now we know within AFK Arena, haste is the absolute top number one attribute that we have within AFK Arena. It's kind of crazy. Not only can you provide some crowd control with the ability in here, but you can also add in a considerable amount of haste. And then when you start looking at training and looking at the advanced training that we do have with some of these, becomes immune to damage and control effects. Again, locking out some of the crowd control we have in there makes a big difference when it comes to the beast. Now, number 4, I would probably go with Treatspector. Now, this is more of a relatively new beast, which is right here. Treatspector overall, we have seen this one being used in really starting to find a place in formations. They have the lockdown, and then enemies lose some of the attack rating and defense every 1 second. If an enemy is already on lockdown and it hits again, they're losing energy. So now we have the disintegration of the attack rating, the defense, and the energy right there. And then when we kind of expand this, you can see that it makes a really big difference. They're losing 400 energy PvP. That is absolutely pivotal. And then when allied heroes take fatal damage, sacrifices a soul to bring them back to the original state. This is a cheat death. Again, when you think of PvP, when you look at some other game modes, it is really huge in here. And if you want to amp up damage, 45% of their defense rating can go down. The further they move, the more they lose. So you have the ability to nerf the defense that you have on some of your targets. Even looking in here with the stop and go ability, it absorbs energy with its candy boost, giving it to allies. So now you have an energy regeneration beast in here. And at the start of the battle, the stop and go starts right in the middle of the battle. So probably coming in at number 4. Now, number 5, I would go ahead and I would say the Pearlcrest ibis. Now, this is one that we have seen, and it's crazy because I actually looked before this, looked in the Cursed Realm, looked in the Nightmare Corridor, both being used in both formations. Also looked at Treasure Scramble being used in formations. Again, it's interesting to see. We know we have the healing and the proficiency that goes out there, but this is the big thing, is the maximum health of heroes goes up after it blooms for 5 seconds. It has and recovers that certain amount of energy. And then when the attack of ally heroes with the wish is increased by 35%, again, you're bringing a beast into formation that is going to amplify the attack rating of your allies. For a majority of the allies, the attack is what drives the skills and abilities they possess. This is also going to have the faction reduction of 30% right there. And then when allies take fatal damage, again, another cheat death. The reason why the Treatspector is so good, the reason the Pearlcrest ibis is so good, is the ability to really cheat death, which is kind of crazy when you start looking at it being built into a majority of heroes, as we see right now. It is also being built into a majority of the beasts as well, meaning it's super hard to kill any of the heroes. And when we have damage that is going through the roof and really amplifying the damage in here, it makes a really big difference in here. Now here we have an increase right there in proficiency. We have an increase right here, 50% gives the growth speed is increased by 50%. Flower buds immediately. And then honestly, that is probably the top 5 that I see. Now the one that I do want to talk about a little bit further is probably coming in, we don't know yet, the Trickery chest, but overall, starting to see the Trickery chest into the Nightmare Corridor, into the Cursed Realm formations. I expect to see the exact same when it comes to the Treasure Scramble, because this is interesting, the way that it nerfs energy right there, that 300 energy loss. That is going to make a big difference. And then if they're picking up the Doom Treasure, they gain 200 energy on some of these. But when you start getting into what we see here, when an allied hero picks up the Doom Treasure, they get 300 energy and 40% attack rating. If they suffer fatal damage, they are going to stay alive. Again, we have 3 beasts in here that are absolutely cheat death. So having an energy recovery, having a boost in the attack rating, and also not being able to die in here, pretty broken when it comes to a beast and getting this to 18. And honestly, when you start looking at this a little bit lower, when you start looking at like the level 6 to level 12, 18 is the game changer. 18 is where you get the big attack rating. That is the reason why I talk about time and time again, getting beasts out of, or excuse me, getting baits out of events, going through, farming all of the baits in the entirety, makes a really big difference with some of these and where they really perform when you build them up higher. Next time an enemy hero gets a resentment, use their ultimate, unable to recover energy, so it is going to lock them out in the entirety. Enemy heroes affected by resentment take 40% more damage. Now we have a damage amplification with an attack rating boost, with an energy recovery, which is massive. I feel like this beast is probably going to drop into maybe the top 1 or 2 just based on the build. Every time that we're coming out with new beasts, they seem to just get stronger and stronger overall, which is pretty interesting. But guys, that's going to do it for today's video. Again, the rest of the beasts in here, I mean, Talisman might have a little bit of utility. A majority of these, even like Fox Fatale, for crowd control, some of these are used exclusively or kind of in its entirety when it comes to tower formations or when it comes to campaign progression. But a lot of these, especially some of the older beasts, I'm not really seeing any play at all. Again, the campaign is a little bit different than what we see normally when it comes to some of the other game modes, and especially when it comes to the Nightmare Corridor, because in here you can see Treatspector, which we do use. Shroom Spooter, again, that is going to be the crowd control just based on the Mahira comp. In here we do have, again, an old school original beast, Ice Crown for the instant crowd control, and then the old school original beast. That's why I said when it comes to the campaign specifically, it is going to use some very different beasts in here. But all right, guys, so that's going to do it for today's video. Let me know in the comments what beasts you really use. And as always, thank you guys for watching.